What is going on, all you Pokemon collecting maniacs out there? This is Ryan, the PikaPikaPaPa, and today we're looking at Sun and Moon top 20 singles cards and booster box prices, and we're going to be seeing how those total values have moved month over month. Now listen, nobody is talking about Sun and Moon right now. Everybody is singularly focused on the Sword and Shield era, and who can blame them? There's all kinds of awesome stuff going on in the Sword and Shield space, but you know what I love? I love when everybody is focused on one thing, because that gives me an opportunity to make plays on everything else that they're not focused on. And believe it or not, I am actually semi-excited about some of the things that I'm seeing here in the Sun and Moon space. Now, what we do in this video series is we aggregate the values of the top 20 singles cards and of the booster boxes. So what you'll see here is in September of 2023, the total value of the top 20 singles cards in every single Sun and Moon set that had a booster box was $12,604. And then you'll see in October that total value dropped to $12,496. In November, $12,200. So you can see the monthly price changes, and you will see that overall, for a while here, the prices have been under a lot of pressure, right? Negative 2.3%, negative 3.6%, negative 3.7%, down 2%. But then from February to March, it was down 0.5%. Now, down is still down, but we saw the price reduction start to smooth out a little bit. And then from March to April, the value is actually up a little bit. Now, I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know what's going to happen, but we have been doing data analysis like this for a long time. And traditionally, when we see the prices start to flatten out, that can sometimes lead to an indication that there's some price growth on the horizon. Now, Sun and Moon is a very different era. And again, you need people to be interested in buying the product for the prices to go up. And I think a lot of people are focused on Sword and Shield right now. So we'll have to wait and see where these prices are next month. But for me to see 2 months in a row of that price reduction start to flatten out a little bit, I think that's very exciting. And I think it might present some opportunities for us here in the future. Now, overall, if you started in September and you bought all the singles cards for $12,604, you'd be down almost 12%, right? It has been a rough 6-7 months here for the Sun and Moon singles card space. But again, we're looking at the last couple months to see if there's any buying opportunities here on the horizon. Now, talking about singles cards, but also talking about booster boxes. Booster boxes are in a total different space, right? We always talk about sealed. Sealed just has this tendency of, even if it wobbles, to just go upward and to the right. Now, it will hit periods where things flatten out, and we've seen that before, but it is a very, very safe investment. And as you can see with this price graph here on the right, it has gone up, it has gone down, it has gone up, it has gone down. It has stair-stepped its way up, which is normal. No investments are upward in the right forever. But overall, if you were to trend line from October all the way to April, they have some serious growth here. Now, if you look at the total value of booster boxes in September, if you had bought one of every booster box in the Sun and Moon era, it would have cost you $7,306. And now that same purchase was cost you $7,975. You would be up 9.2%. Now, again, Sun and Moon saw a lot of their price gains in 2023, right? Especially towards the beginning of 2023. So it's exciting to see that even the fact that they are starting to slow down a little bit, you still got a 10% gain on that initial spend, which is incredibly impactful. Now, before we look at the individual sets, I always got to give my spiel. We're a small channel. We're trying to grow. So if you enjoy this type of data dive, hit that subscribe button. If you have questions or comments, drop them down below. And as always, if you like what you see, give us a big old thumbs up. So now we're going to look at the individual sets and how they've moved month over month. So the first one we're going to look at right here, Cosmic Eclipse and Unified Minds. Now, I will say this, it has been a rough 6-month period for Cosmic Eclipse and Unified Minds. We have seen every single month for the last 6 months that the top 20 cards on average have come down in value. But what we have seen over the last 2 months, if you look at the month over month gains, they're on the bottom of each of those columns. You'll see they're in a red 0%. They're down, but they're down less than 0.5%, okay? So we have seen, again, as I said earlier, we've seen the rate of depreciation in both of these sets for the top 20 singles cards really slow down over the last couple months. Again, traditionally, when we see that, that means that some prices are about to go up a little bit. Now, listen, I don't know what's going to happen. We'll have to see, but I am so excited to see what these prices look like next month. Now, even though we've seen these things come down, the chase cards have been a bit of a bright spot, right? Misty has been on an absolute tear. That Misty card is absolute fire. And the Rosa has held strong, okay? So what are we going to see next month? I don't know. But when I was talking about the Rosa, this is what I want to say right here. Look, it was a little bit of a waifu fury, right? Like, we all know that the trainer cards got really, really hot there for a while and they spiked up. Then we saw a lot of them come back down. But even though a lot of the Sun and Moon cards have been under pressure, the Rosa has found a way to remain flat for the last, I don't know, 4 months here. You see in December of 2023, it flattened out. For me, that is a support line, right? The market is saying, hey, listen, this is about a $200 card. We can go a little bit under, it can go a little bit over, but for right now, the market thinks this is a $200 card. Will it be able to break out and hit $250, $300, $400, 5, 10, 15 years into the future? I don't know, but I know at least right now I feel very, very confident at that $200 price point for this card, at least for the current environment. And when people rotate out of Sword and Shield and they start looking at other eras, if they start looking to Sun and Moon, I bet this card has the opportunity to pop off here in the near future. Now, the next sets that we're going to look at right here, Unbroken Bonds and Team Up. Now, Team Up has been, again, Team Up is not immune. Even though it's the biggest, baddest booster box in recent memory, Team Up is not immune to some of the downward pressure in the singles card space, but it has bounced back this month. Matter of fact, both of these sets had a relatively strong month, but Team Up, really from top to bottom, you see a whole lot of green there. Unbroken Bonds get a lot of the gain from a few of the cards, but Team Up had a lot of small gains in there to give them both an overall gain of the top 20 cards for about 2% month over month, which is really exciting. There's some awesome cards in here. But what really got me excited is we talk about support lines, as we talk about some of these big chase trainer cards that maybe aren't getting the love and affection that they should right now because everybody's focused on other things. This is one of the cards that I was talking about right here. So this Gardevoir and Sylveon right here, you see it is at a 1-year low. It is right there at that 1-year low mark. It has been flat for the last couple months. We saw the way the Rosa was able to retain that value for, 4 months on end when it hit that $200 mark. Like, the market might just say that this is a $175 card, hard and fast stop right now. So I'm very interested on this one. I think this is a beautiful card from a huge set from an amazing era. So this is a card I'm going to keep my eye on. The other thing I thought was cool is when we talk about trainers, we don't always talk about the dude trainers getting any love, but look at Red's challenge right here. The trainer, the trainer flop didn't hit Red that much, and we're starting to see Red actually gain some momentum here, coming in at $80. So again, something that we don't always see. I thought it was really cool to call out, and I never would have noticed that if it wasn't for this data dive that I do, if it wasn't for me tracking, these non-chase cards month over month. So I thought this was really cool, and a shout out worth saying to everybody. Good for you, Red's challenge. Love seeing that card get some love. Now, the next ones we're talking about here, Lost Thunder and Celestial Storm. Now, Celestial Storm booster boxes have been the most incredible thing to watch. It has been the smoothest upward and the right trend line I have ever seen, and it has no sign of slowing down. They are absolutely insane. It is absolutely crazy. But even with that gain in the booster box space, guess what? All the singles are still under pressure. We're still seeing a lot of regression here, especially in the Lost Thunder side of things. But I will tell you this, that Lost Thunder, the Lugia, the Rainbow Chase card there, that card seems to have some support, and we're going to talk about it here in a minute. I have said this in the past. I feel like Lost Thunder and Celestial Storm, at least from my personal perspective, they don't seem to have a lot of the big star power in it, but it doesn't matter. The booster boxes are at $712 for Celestial Storm and $626 for Lost Thunder, which are really strong booster box prices. And again, like I said, look at that Lugia. The Lugia, again, hit that 1-year low, and now it's starting to flatten out as we see more and more of these big chase cards from the Sun and Moon era start to find these support lines, start to find these flattening out. Again, I don't think these are cards that are going to pop off overnight, but I do think that if these are some of the cards that maybe you missed the boat on earlier in your collecting era, or maybe you weren't even around in the Sun and Moon space and you think these would just be really cool ads, I don't know where the bottom is. I'll never tell you that, but I do think it's really cool to see these cards starting to flatten out and find some support. So maybe this is an opportunity to pick up some of these big chase cards that you never had the opportunity to do before. So good on you, Lugia. We'll have to see next month if we start to see some of these popping up a little bit. The next one right here is Forbidden Light and Ultra Prism, and Forbidden Light hasn't had a lot of love as of late. It just hasn't. When you think about what's in that set, the top 20 cards really are dominated by those Rainbow Secret Rares, and the hobby just isn't a big fan of them, even though we just talked about the Lugia, right? The Lugia has some star power, and that's the chase card from Lost Thunder, right? But in Forbidden Light, there's a Greninja, you know what I mean? There's just not a lot of oomph there, so I think that's one of the things that is really holding Forbidden Light down. Now, when you look at Ultra Prism at the very top is dominated by trainer cards, and I have said this over the last, 4 or 5 months. You're probably sick of hearing it. But my concern with Ultra Prism is I don't know how long a set that is dominated by trainer cards can retain the singles card prices. I think we have proven time and time again that booster boxes are going to do whatever the heck they want to do. They're awesome investments. They're obviously a population which is always decreasing. No matter how expensive it is, there's always somebody out there who's ripping one. So booster boxes are really safe investment. But I have had some concerns about the Ultra Prism singles card prices. But when I look at a card like this, how can you be concerned about that? This card is absolutely stunning. So if this card continues to drop in price, I don't know, I might have to pull the trigger on it. Not that I think it's gonna be the best long-term investment, but I think the card is stunning. I absolutely love the artwork. And again, you see the way this card has been able to fight. Yes, over the last month, it has seen a little bit of a price regression, but if you look on the far right of that price graph, it is starting to tail up just a little bit. So maybe there was a low that was hit in there. And again, we're starting to see the market supported at a certain price point. Maybe this has got like a $100 support line on it, but I think this card is fire. I think think the artwork is great. So whenever I start to get down on Ultra Prism a little bit, you know, we got Lily up there, we got Lucamine up there, like we just got some really, really cool chase cards in there. So who knows, maybe Ultra Prism with the trainers can go ahead and, you know, hold on to their singles card value for the long run. Now, the next ones we're going to talk about right here, Crimson Invasion and Burning Shadows, and the Zard from Burning Shadows is on an absolute tear. This is a great example of how a single card can absolutely prop up a set in general. When you get beyond the top 2 cards, everything starts to fall. You get to 49, 36, 35, 27. It's not long until you're in the 12s, $10 range, and then you start to get into the single digits. But Burning Shadows is still getting a lot of love, and that Zard is going absolutely crazy. Whenever I'm thinking about Scarlet and Violets, I try and take some lessons from this Charizard. Like, Charizard is a name in of itself, right? It is a huge card, it is a huge name, it's always going to perform really well, but I think about how it was a hard pull. I think about how it was a tough grader. I think there was only a 28% gem rate on this card. Like, those are things that I'm thinking of when I'm trying to make an idea of what I want to invest in the Scarlet and Violet era, and I'm actually going to do a video next week where I'm going to talk to you about some of the parameters that I use when I'm looking at singles cards that aren't just for a collection standpoint, but some that I think have some great investability in them for the long run, so we're going to talk about that. And speaking of the Charizard, the Charizard is darn near a 1-year high, and we have looked at a whole lot of awesome chase cards from the Sun and Moon era, and most of them are coming in at 1-year lows. So despite all of that, this Charizard is doing its own thing. It is sitting there at a 1-year high. It is really, really cool to watch this Charizard perform really well. I'm excited for this. Again, this is just one of the sets and one of the cards that I'm constantly trying to take some lessons away from. Now, to finish everything off, we're finishing off with 2 greens, right? 2 of these are up month over month from a top 20 perspective. They were both up last month from a top 20 perspective. And you know, if you've watched this channel for a long time, I am a low-key fan of the Sun and Moon base set. I don't necessarily think from an investment standpoint it's going to give us huge, crazy returns. But when I think about what's in there, right, you got the Lily card full art in there, right? You've got the Umbreon in there. We're going to look at that card in just a minute. And Umbreon is going to be crazy popular for a long time, not just because it's an awesome evolution, but you got the Moonbreon, and everybody is so in love with the Sword and Shield era and that chase card and Evolving Skies that I think it's going to keep Umbreon top of mind for people for a long, long time. And the other cards are just going to organically see some lift from it, right? And I think that is a really important thing to make note of. Now, listen, of the, Guardians, the top 10 had a pretty good month, but overall Guardians, I mean, we could see this set outside of the chase card. We could see this set have 0 cards over $30 besides that chase card here relatively soon, which is a very, very tough pill to swallow. But then, as I was saying, look at this Umbreon. Now, this price spiked really, really quick. Obviously, there's a strong support line for this card at the $35 mark, but this jumped from 35 to 42 almost overnight. This could be the example of some people just buying up whatever is available to go ahead and maybe relist at a higher price. But I think this card is awesome. I think Umbreon's got a whole lot of legs, and I think that this set, at least again as a whole, is going to be okay. I don't think it's a huge investment piece, but I do like the lineup in there. So hey, listen, if you made it to the end of the video and you have enjoyed it, we do fun stuff like this all the freaking time. So hit that subscribe button if you haven't. Questions or comments, drop them down below. And as always, if you like what you see, give us a big old thumbs up. I appreciate you more than I can say. I hope you have a great one, and I'll talk to you later. Thanks, everybody. Bye.